I know you've watched a whole lot of videos on how to make a male native shirt, and yet you still find it difficult to make one perfectly. In this video series, I'll be showing you secrets and tips on how to draft a male native shirt pattern to detailing. Also, you will learn the proper and correct way of attaching a shirt sleeve with curve. Wait, did I also mention you will be learning how to finish the neckline area neatly with back yoke and collar? Of course you will. And not forgetting how to attach the front pockets and the placket. My name is Bolaji and this is Reggie School of Fashion. Now I'll be drafting the back shirt pattern, and I will start by drawing a border line at the top of the pattern paper, and I'll be making use of this side as the center back, just like the front pattern. So this side is the center back and I will label it as the center back. So after drawing out the border line, then I will measure out 4 inches on the pattern paper. Remember when I was drafting the front, I told you the back will be 4 inches longer than the front. So that is the 4 inches I'm measuring out now. So this is the 4 inches. So remember I told you that from these 4 inches, the front pattern will take 2 inches out of it. And the idea is to move the joining of the shoulder away from the center of the shoulder. So I will measure that 2 inches as well. So which means I'm dividing this space into 2. Now this is the border line. This border line is the starting point for the front pattern. In male shirt pattern, the front and the back, they work together. They go line to line, so they don't separate each other. So when you are drafting the back, you need the front pattern beside you. So part of the front pattern is together with the back pattern. So this line here that I labeled the border line, it is the starting point of the front. You know, I told you 2 inches has been taken away from the front and we added it to the back. So this is the 2 inches from here to here. From here to here is the 2 inches. Then from here to here is another 2 inches. So that is the 4 inches extra we have on the back pattern. So this line is the starting point, for the back pattern. So don't get confused, it's very easy. So when I start taking the vertical measurement, I will not take the measurement from this line, I will take it from this line, from this starting point. So to make it more clearer, I will trim off the border line. I don't want you to get confused. Though it's somehow technical, but it's still very simple. If you take your time, to digest it, it's very simple. So I've trimmed off the border line. So this is the starting point for the front, while this is the starting point for the back. Now this is how it's going to look. From here to here is 2 inches. So this 2 inches is for the front. Let me fold it. I'm folding. So by the time I fold it, it will fall on 4 inches point. You understand? So that is why I measured out 4 inches. So that is the extra 4 inches I told you is going to be on the back pattern. So when I fold on that 2 inches, it will fall on the 4 inches. So this is where the front will join. So let's assume this is the shoulder line. So this is where the front join, and we have it as a single pattern like this. So with this from here to here is 2 inches. The 2 inches we subtracted from the front pattern has been added back with this. You get that? So it has been added back. So which means this is the starting point for the back pattern. So the next thing I'm doing is to construct the back neckline. So I will come to the starting point for the front. So that is the beginning of the pattern paper. So I will insert 3 inches. That is the opening for the neckline. So whatever you use for the front is what you use for the back. So the width has to be the same. It has to be equal. It is only the depth that can be different. So I used 3 inches. So I'm still using the same 3 inches. Then I will still extend my measuring tape and measure out half of the back. The half of the back I used is 9 inches. Whatever you use for the front is what you use for the back. So if you don't remember what you used, go back to check. Go back to check. Go back to check. Do you understand? So that is half of the back. Then I will measure the armhole depth. So this is where you need to pay attention. So you will not start taking the measurement from this point. I told you the beginning of this paper is for the front pattern, is not for the back. So this is where the back measurement, this is the starting point for the back. So I will start taking that measurement from here and not from here. So that is 9.5. I'm taking the measurement from the back starting point, which is this line. Then on the back chest level, I will insert half of the back measurement. That is shoulder point to shoulder point. So which is the measurement I inserted on this starting point. So that's a 9.5. Just the way we did for the back, for the front pattern. So I'm connecting the 2 points together to create a straight line. Then I will label this line as the armhole. So on the armhole line, I will create a shoulder slope. I'm still coming back to the neckline. So on the armhole line, I will create a shoulder slope. So from the beginning of the pattern, I will measure 1.5 inches downward. So that is what I use for the front. So the two must be equal. Whatever you use as the shoulder slope for the front is what you use for the back. So I'm connecting that 1.5 inches point to the neckline width point. So this is the 3 inches I measured from the center front. Then I'm connecting it to create a shoulder slope. So the next step is to construct the back neckline. So I will measure out the back neckline depth, which I will be using 1.5 inches. So this is the point. I will construct the neckline and measure it out. So I must get up to 7.75 inches. I said I needed from the front pattern to make the neckline circumference 16 inches. So I'm making this a straight line. So on that line, I will measure 3 inches. So I'm constructing the neckline the same way I constructed the front neckline. From the center back, I will measure 1.5 inches inward. You know, for the front, I measured 1 inch inward, but for the back, I will measure 1.5 inches inward. Then I will take my armhole curve to construct the neckline. So I'm connecting from this 1.5 inches point to the neck width point. So after constructing the neckline, then I will measure what I have in order for me to be sure I have up to 7.75. To be sure I have up to 7.75. So what I have here is 3.75, and 3.75, you know this is going to be on fold, so that is multiplied by 2, that is 7.5, and I need 7.75. In case you are lost, you don't know how I arrive at 7.75, the neck circumference I'm using is 16, and when I drafted the front pattern, I measured the neckline and I have 4.125, and because the fabric is going to be on fold, so it's going to be multiplied by 2. So 4.125 multiplied by 2 gives me 8.25, and I have 16 for the neck circumference. I must have up to this 16. Then I subtracted 8.25 from 16. That is where I have 7.75 left, which means for the back neckline I must have up to 7.75. So all this value I'm calling 8.125, 8.25. In case you are lost, you don't know how to get them on your measuring tape, I have a video on how to read your measuring tape properly and correctly, how to read the small lines on your measuring tape, how to convert the fraction values to decimal, decimal to fraction. So the link to the video is in the description box. Watch and it will be helpful. So I don't have up to 7.75, I need 0.25 left. So what I will do is bring down the depth by 0.25. So you remember I told you if I don't have up to that, I will tamper with it, then adjust. So I'm adding 0.25 to the neckline depth. So I will just bring it down by 0.25. Then I will transfer my neckline to the new line. So don't forget, we are not using this any longer. I've crossed it out. So then I will take the measurement of the new neckline. So now I have 3.875. So multiply by 2 will give me exactly 7.75. So which means I don't have issue with the neckline. together with the front pattern I have 16. The next step is to construct the armhole. I will measure whatever I have from this 1.5 inches point to the chest level. I have 10 and the midpoint is 5 inches. So that midpoint, I will extend it inward just the way I did on the front pattern. And because this is the back armhole, it's not going to be as deep as the front armhole. So I will measure 0.75 inward. For the front, I measured 1 inch. So, but for the back, I will use 0.75, which means I'm subtracting 0.25 from that. So that's the point. Then I will come to the chest level, take my front pattern, measure whatever I have on the front chest level. So whatever I have on the front chest level is what I will insert on the back chest level. So you can see why you have to work together with your front pattern. So I have 11.875. So that is exactly what I will insert on the back chest level as well. From the center back, I'm taking the measurement 11.875. Then I will construct the armhole using my armhole curve. So this is my armhole curve ruler. So I'm connecting these 2 points together first, then later this to this. Don't forget the shape of your armhole is L shape, not C shape. And I told you when I was drafting the front to take note of the number you used on your armhole curve ruler so that you can apply the same number on the back. And when you are doing the second connection, you have to make it smooth as much as possible. So to make it smooth, you don't start from the 0.75 inches point. You bring it up, pick it from up. You understand? You pick it from up. This helps to have a smooth armhole shape. It makes your armhole shape smooth. So it will not be obvious we have two different lines together. You can see it's not obvious that we connected the two lines separately. So that is the armhole for the back. Then I will take the measurement as well and note the value. So I will note the value so that when I'm drafting the sleeve, there will not be any issue. There will not be any issue. Then I will add the two values together. The armhole value for the front and for the back. I will add the two together. I must have up to my armhole circumference measurement. It must not be lesser than that. You understand? It should not be lesser than the armhole measurement you are using. So here I have 12. So this is the back armhole. We are done with the upper part of the pattern, so we come down to the lower part of the pattern. So I will start by inserting the vertical measurements. So now I'm inserting the vertical measurements for the lower parts, which are the waist level, the hip level, the shirt length, and the hem allowance. So the measurement starts from the back starting point. So this is where I will start taking the measurement. The back starting point, not from here. The back starting point. So the front waist is 21. The front waist 21. Then from waist to hip is 7.5. Waist to hip is 7.5. the shirt length is 34. Shirt length is 34. Then I use 3 inches as the hem allowance. Hem allowance of 3 inches. So now I've labeled my vertical measurements. So this is the waist level, this is the hip level, this is the shirt length, and this is the hem allowance. Don't forget, I told you the back pattern is 4 inches longer than the front pattern. And this is because I've subtracted 2 inches. When we were drafting the front, I subtracted 2 inches. So which means the length of this shirt now is 32 instead of 34. You understand? Then we have the back as 34 plus the 2 inches we take away from here, that is 36, which means the total length of the back pattern is 36 and the total length of the front pattern is 32. So that is why we have it as 4 inches. So don't be confused, like I'm saying we have 2 inches for the front here and I'm saying the back is 4 inches longer than the front. That is why it is 4. That's why it is 4. The 2 inches we take away from here plus the real measurement, which is 34, that is 36. So the length of the back pattern is 36, while the length of the front pattern is 32. So when you are drafting your pattern, you have to have that at the back of your mind, that the length of your back pattern will be 4 inches more than the length of the front pattern. So the next step is to insert the horizontal measurement. So I don't need to start dividing and calculating again. I will just take my front pattern, measure whatever I have on each line and insert it on the back. For the waist is 9.75. The hip is 10.75. So the hip level is 10.75. So 10.75. So that is exactly what I have on the shirt length, 10.75. And I will not add anything on the hem allowance, just the way I did when I was drafting the front. So when I'm ready to cut, I will fold it inward. Now I will be connecting the point together just the way I did for the front pattern. I've taken note the number I used on my ruler. I take note of the number and take note of the positioning. So I'm connecting from the chest level, from the chest to the waist. Then from waist to hip, I'm making use of my pant curve ruler. So don't forget the positioning. The back of the ruler is facing towards the side, while the front of the ruler, this is the front, is facing the center back. So from hip level to the shirt length, the connection is a straight line. This is a straight line. So guys, we are done with the drafting of the back shirt pattern. So the next thing I will be doing is to cut it out. So in cutting out the pattern, I will fold in the hem allowance just the way I did for the front pattern. I'll fold it inward so that I will not have a shortage when I'm hemming the down part. So I will not be short of fabric when I'm hemming the shirt. So that is why I'm doing this. So don't forget, you don't add a seam allowance on your pattern. All seam allowances will be added on the fabric. We don't have a seam allowance on pattern. to get that. So I'll cut on the line. Make sure you cut on the line. Don't cut outside the line. Cut on the line. Then I'm flipping my pattern over. So the shoulder line is facing towards my side. So I'm flipping it over. I'll cut the neckline. The shoulder line, the armhole. So guys, we've come to the end of this video. I so much believe your skill has been upgraded in pattern drafting. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that, so that you won't miss out whenever I upload a new video. Till we meet next time, when I'll be dropping another cool video from the stable of Reggae School of Fashion. Always remember, there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs.